Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Have You Heard? And today I've got one of my old 7-inch singles again. Here's the culprit. Let's go this way. It's David Bowie and Space Oddity, and this is the 1969 Phillips single. Very proud to have that in my collection. This song has such a checkered history in terms of the amount of times it was recorded and issued and reissued, and I can't keep up with it all. All I know that this is the 1969 original that eventually got to number 5 in the UK charts, although it took a while. It was then later reissued in 1972, I think, in the States, where it got to number 15. And in 1975 it was reissued in the UK and it got to number 1. It got to number 5 in 1969. But there's a lot of stuff to go through. I don't remember it all. At this time I was nearly 16, but I didn't know what was happening. I just heard this music and I thought, wow, this is something pretty good. Little did I know that my hero Rick Wakeman was on Mellotron. This is where he got his reputation as the fixer for the Mellotron. And while we all know Mike Pinder of the Moody Blues was the Mellotron king, Rick knew his way around one too. We will get back to that just now. Welcome if you're new to the channel. We've got 190 odd songs on playlists below. Have a little look and see if there's anything you like. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe to it. We would be thankful for that. But this is David Bowie's first ever hit, and it would be his last hit for another 3 years. It's absolutely crazy when you consider the esteem that the late great Bowie is held in now, that he really struggled in the early days and people knocked him down left, right and centre. Let's listen to the song first of all, though. It is a classic of its genre, one of the great singles of all time. On Spotify, I'm struggling to find the original version. From checking out all kinds of options, I've decided to go with the 1999 remaster. It sounds pretty good. Cleaner, of course, than the 1969 one, but we'll live with that. So here we go. David Bowie and Space Oddity. This is the 1999 remaster.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control 9, to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition 1. And may God's love lift be off. With you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade. on to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very scared, and I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating on my tin can? Far above the planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Wow. Goodness gracious me. That remaster is quite interesting. Not used to that at all, and I liked that they kept the fade in. That really slow fade in was lovely. The double track David voices are very clear and distinct, much more so than on the original version, which felt much closer together. But of course, the original version was mono, although he did do a stereo version for the single, which is or was quite unusual at the time. Um, and some people doubted that, in fact, he wanted to do that. But I read that Rick Wakeman, who was there at the time, said no, he was very specific. He wanted the record company to produce a stereo single version as well. Unusual for the time, really, 1969. I only heard the mono version. So that was interesting. The fade out at the end is extended a little bit. I wonder if that's not the album version, perhaps. I know the album version from the Space Oddity album is a little bit longer than the UK single edit. The US single edit is shorter than the UK one. Um, but nobody, I'm just saying nobody wanted to record this, but there was a distinct lack of enthusiasm from the record company over this particular song. And Tony Visconti, the producer who was producing the album, thought that this was a novelty record and didn't want anything to do with it. And so he fobbed it off to Gus Dudgeon, who was his assistant. Gus Dudgeon thought everyone was crazy. This is one of the best things he's ever heard. And so he and David got together and, almost like a team, planned out the whole recording process, pretty much like a military operation. Um, and it's an intricate song. For the singles charts in 1969, there weren't too many other people, um, apart from the Beatles, I guess, who were putting in this amount of studio time and thought and effort into producing such a song. But they were working to a deadline because they wanted it to coincide with the Apollo 11's moon landing. And they made it, but it was a rush. And it didn't do that well. it sort of it sold quite slowly. The BBC used the song as their theme music for the Apollo 11 broadcasts, which surely must have helped. I'm trying to remember back in 69. I mean, I was still at school, and I remember very clearly one morning, whatever class we were in, we were interrupted, and somebody pushed in a big TV screen on a trolley, and we were told, no, they're landing on the moon any minute now. And we stopped all classes and we watched the moon landing. Yeah, those were the days. 69. Okay, so I was in year 4 of grammar school. I left the following year. But the band was playing on this record, really interesting people. Mick Wayne was the guitarist from a band I've never heard of before called Junior's Eyes. I don't know them at all, and I don't know Mick Wayne. He must have been a reasonably popular session musician at the time. The rest all were. Rick, of course, on Mellotron. He was only 18 or 19 at the time, Rick. And it was Tony Visconti and Gus Dudgeon that kind of discovered the fact that Rick was this keyboard wizard who could fix messed up Mellotrons. Herbie Flowers was on bass, one of the top session bass players in the UK at that time. Herbie Flowers played on millions of hit records and eventually ended up in the classical stroke rock instrumental group Sky. If anyone knows Sky, it's really good, and I want to play some Sky music sometime in the future. And Terry Cox was on drums, and Terry Cox was the drummer with Pentangle, one of the top folk rock bands of the time in the UK. So these were all good players, and the performance kind of bears that out, doesn't it? Yeah. The reading says that this song was inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. Also, of course, the moon landings was something that they needed to get it done by. It was also inspired by the Bee Gees. I'm not a huge Bee Gees fan. Of course, this was the Bee Gees way before Saturday Night Fever and all of that. The Bee Gees were very folk rocky and kind of wrought vocals, overwrought vocals. But it's a piece of history. The album wouldn't do anything. He'd go away and lick his wounds for a while. He'd eventually come back and he did The Man Who Sold the World, another album that really didn't do too much. And then eventually Hunky Dory, which again only did marginally better, before, of course, Ziggy Stardust changed everything. And that was his next hit single was Starman off Ziggy Stardust. And once that broke, that caused all of the reissues of Space Oddity, the reissues of Life on Mars from Hunky Dory, and all those hits started coming through sort of retrospectively. But it's a fascinating record. It's lovely to have it in my collection. It still works, and it's lovely to talk about it today. I'd love to hear what you guys think of David Bowie and what you think of this particular song. Can you remember when it came out in the US? Can you remember when it came out in the UK or anywhere else, of course, wherever you're watching from? Please let me know in the comments, and like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the video. I'm looking forward to seeing you again on the next video, which hopefully will be later on today. But until then, cheers everyone.